All right, everybody, welcome to YouTube here on a Saturday night. We just saw San Jose take a pretty good 3-2 lead against Colorado in this round 2 series. I'm waiting for confirmation. There it is on YouTube. We are, in fact, live. It's always a gamble for me. Till I know we're on, I don't feel good. But now that I know we're on, last game in Denver, where the Sharks got shut out 3-0, I felt like there just wasn't much to talk about. Contrast that to tonight's game, and there was so much to talk about. San Jose improved in almost every category that you could have asked from them. Let's begin with this. Playing with the puck, possessing it, not turning it over, sustaining more offensive chances, and testing Philip Grubauer. They did all of that tonight. Tomas Hertl had been silent these playoffs, this round 2, I should say. First goals, both of them tonight, of the second round. He hadn't scored since Game 7 of Round 1. Now, he did have 2 goals in Game 5, 1 goal in Game 6, and, of course, 1 goal in Game 7 of Round 1. He also had some earlier ones in Round 1, but nice to see number 48 and his line make a difference. It was just a game where the Sharks came out and asserted themselves and took control of the contest of gameplay, I thought, in the first 20 minutes. Now, it did not reward them on the scoreboard, and that was a bit of a frustration factor, especially when 7 minutes in, you thought Kevin Labanc from Joe Thornton was the San Jose lead, and all of a sudden that they could build on that. Unfortunately, the officials went back and saw Timo high stick Rantanen, and I'm not here to argue that that was a penalty. Timo got him. But as Stefan Setaguchi, our colleague, mentioned, was Timo's stick lifted into Rantanen. And I would also add that Rantanen seemed to make the officials aware of the fact that he got high stuck in the way that he went down. I'll leave my comments at that. I don't want to get into officiating. I think at this time of year, it's always a bit of a gamble. If you're leaving the game in the hands of the refs, that's not a good strategy from the onset. Or it's not a good situation to be in, I'll say it like that. But luckily, that did not cost San Jose, although that was an early turn of momentum. Instead of a 1-0 lead, now the Sharks are on the penalty kill. Luckily, they take care of that. They were good tonight on the kill in not letting the Avs gain a lot of momentum in tonight's contest. That's another thing. When the Sharks possessed the puck, when they dictated play, when they were so good in the offensive zone, the way they established their presence, it really took the Avs out of the game. In fact, for one span, the Avs went 13 minutes tonight, 13 minutes in a row without a shot on goal. And a large part of that is just because of the way San Jose played with the puck. And we always talk about defense is going to get the Sharks as far as they can go this season. Sure was the case tonight. And even in looking at Tyson Jost's goal, his first of the playoffs, I mean, if you're saying that's the difference between 1 goal and a shutout for Martin Jones, I mean, Martin Jones was realistically in the shutout conversation tonight. He was that good. You also start looking back on Jones. It's now 8 games in a row that he has played tremendous. And you would have to say that while things were working out for the Sharks in terms of gameplay offensively tonight, they were not working out on the scoreboard because they didn't get on the score sheet until, 20 seconds left of that second period when Hertl was able to score on the Couture assist, that one on the power play. So I'm just saying here that it was so beneficial for San Jose to buy time for Martin Jones to have himself a game, and that it bought the skaters time, and eventually Tomas Hertl, I say by the skaters, really Tomas Hertl time to get the tying goal in this game and to get the winning goal in this game. Look at it. Colorado scores first. San Jose gets 2 unanswered. They go on to win the game. Testing Grubauer. Again, I thought that was part of something last game, and although he shut out the Sharks on, 30-plus saves, in Game 4, I'm not sure the grade A chances were there for San Jose. But even look at Hertl's second goal. On the Vlasic shot, Grubauer knocked it down, but couldn't swallow it up, also couldn't clear it out of the crease, and so Hertl is right there on the doorstep, able to put it home. 8 goals now on these playoffs for Tomas Hertl. He has more points in not even 2 full rounds here than he did in the 2016 Stanley Cup final run, all 4 rounds. Now, he did have to leave the Pittsburgh series injured early. That was unfortunate because he looked like San Jose's best threat. But that just goes to show you what a monster playoffs he's having already surpassing the point total of 2016 and 4 rounds, almost 4 full rounds for number 48. But 8 is also an interesting number for Nathan MacKinnon. His point streak coming to an end after being such a huge factor in basically every Avs playoff game this season so far. What was the stat coming in? 22, I think, career playoff games for him. Something like 29 playoff points and 11 playoff goals in those 22 games. At some point, you had to figure that he just wouldn't be a factor in every single game. He's a tremendous player. Is among the league's best. Might be top 5, might be top 3. But the bottom line is, not only did he not contribute tonight, and he was part of some of the scoring chances that Colorado had, but he was held to just 1 shot on goal. And we had Justin Braun on our post-game show afterwards. You have to see that as a tremendous accomplishment for a lot of the D-men who are not typically on the stat sheet with points and assists or goals. To know that you shut down the star player on the other side, the guy that fuels his line, right? It's not just him. It's Landeskog. It's Rantanen. And if you kind of went for the root of that tree, so to speak, and you were able to close it off, you were a huge part in winning tonight's game by the slimmest of margins. Speaking of the scoreboard, did I mention it yet? 2 or fewer coming into effect again in tonight's contest. I got to check my own Twitter here. I'm losing track. Are we at 38-0? Or was tonight 39-0? No, tonight was 38-0. 38 wins and no losses this season when the Sharks allow 2 or fewer. That came into serious jeopardy last game. The Sharks were losing 2-0. And then the Avs got a third empty net. So I know a lot of people say, last game should have been the end of it. But that's just the way that it's gone. 2 or fewer always works for San Jose. And it may not at some point. But it just paints the clear picture that if they play that level of defense, the scoring is generally there. And I mean, look at the difference from Game 4 to Game 5, San Jose with the puck. Took care of it better on every power play, got set up, got established, got chances, made changes. I mean, like line changes. So they were able to kind of keep the momentum rolling. So not only did they get goals tonight, but they got momentum when they were on man advantages. I want to point out some other Shark player notes from the post-game stats here. So Hertl scored his 3rd multi-goal game of his playoff career and his 2nd multi-goal game of this 2019 postseason. I said before, round 1, Game 5, when the Sharks really responded. Hey, guess what tonight was? Game 5 again. There's something about Game 5s for Tomas Hertl. Hertl collected his 5th career game-winning goal, tying Owen Nolan for 5th in franchise history in game-winning goals in the playoffs. How about that for clutch? Speaking of clutch, Clutcheur Logan collected his 4th assist of the playoffs. He now has points in 9 of his last 11 playoff games. Martin Jones stopping 21 of 22 shots, 7th win of these playoffs. And yeah, by the way, think about this. You need 16 wins to get the Stanley Cup. The Sharks, obviously, getting close to the halfway point. Sorry, I had to check the audio there. I wanted to make sure it wasn't too loud. Getting close to the halfway point of getting 8 of 16. And if and when they get that 8th win, I always have to say it like that, they'll be in the Western Conference Final. They'll be down to the Final 4. One more win puts the Sharks in the final 4 teams remaining in the Stanley Cup playoffs. It was the look at the game notes here. I didn't even write this. It was the 8th instance in which Jones has allowed 2 or fewer goals in the postseason this year. There you go. And actually, I know what you're saying. Well, wait, I thought they were undefeated. Last game before tonight, Game 4, Jones only allowed 2. The Sharks allowed 3, but he wasn't in net for that 3rd one. Erik Karlsson got an assist tonight. notched his 11th postseason assist on Tomas Hertl's first goal, the one in the second period there on the power play. Jonas Donskoy, that's another great story. Good to see him back from the recovery of the McNabb hit, which still had ill effects on him from round one. Great to get him back tonight. He got a playoff point. And then Marc-Edouard Vlasic collecting his third assist of these playoffs. He also blocked 3 shots and finished the contest with a +1 rating. There is a stat, and I'm not even going to go too deep into what exactly it is. Too many of you are superstitious, and I don't want to upset you, but there was a stat that the team that wins Game 5 when a series is tied 2-2, let's just say usually ends up quite well as it relates to the result of the series. I think now what's huge is looking ahead towards Game 6 on Monday night in Denver. The Sharks have bought themselves a tiny bit of insurance. We know there's going to be at least one more hockey game at SAP this postseason. Let's hope the next time it's not Game 7. Let's hope it's Game 1 of Round 3, the Western Conference Finals. But I think as much as they squandered the opportunity of Game 4, right, to go up 3-1, they have to look at it right now, up 3-2, with the opportunity to end this thing in Denver on Monday night. It has to be at the forefront of, let's just say, their subconscious. Certainly they want to go out there and win. Certainly they want to win every single game, but the urgency to get this done, it would help the Sharks big time in a sense of rest, in a sense of not facing elimination this round. They just went through the near impossible. Well, I mean, you can only face, elimination 3 times. I guess you could face it 0-3, 1-2. I guess if you were down 0-3, then you would have to face it 4 times. But the point is that the Sharks faced elimination 3 times in round 1. And while that may have galvanized them, I truly believe we're still seeing the effects of kind of what they went through and how it helps apply now, how it galvanized them from round 1 to what's still to come. But at some point, you have to take advantage of ending a series when you have the opportunity for your mental state, for your physical state. And that brings me to the conversation of Joe Pavelski. How awesome was it to see him come out late in the contest, wave the rally towel around, and get the fans absolutely juiced? This was his first public appearance since the injury. He has been skating at the practice facility, and I did see him a couple games ago. Yeah, so Game 2 of this series back at SAP Center. Not to mention, by the way, tonight with the killer 3-piece suit. Joe Pavelski really bringing it, but that's neither here nor there. Tremendous moment, I think, emotionally, motivationally, and don't think his teammates, they've seen him obviously since then, but don't think seeing him in that moment and the reaction from the fans, don't tell me that didn't mean something on the bench. I truly think it did. As for Pavelski and coming back, let's just have that real quick conversation because I'm not sure if we talked about it on the last YouTube video. He's going through the initial process, and part of it is just skating again and seeing what the after effects are of that. The next thing would be to join the team in a practice session and maybe take some warm-ups, right? Like for a game that he knew he wasn't going to play, but just go out there for warm-ups anyway. Maybe it's a deception to the opponent. And of course, that's why you don't get injury updates, because you want to use that trick as deception. Spring Pavelski out there, and Jared Bednar and the Avs are like, wait, what? He's playing? Even though you knew he wouldn't be. I'm just looking at Pavelski and the rest of this round. It's hard to think, even if there were a Game 7, that you'd want to go ahead and put him back in there. He would have missed the first 6 games. And if there is a Game 7, that means the Sharks would have been coming off a loss. And do you really want to take the risk of a player who hasn't been in a playoff game in 2 weeks and maybe is right enough to play, but maybe somebody healthier could contribute more? To me, the downs outweigh the upsides of this. Again, though, I don't know everything. Pete DeBoer and Pavelski and the doctors, they all do. It's just, it seems from the outside that you would want him to play this as safe as possible and not play at all in the rest of this round. But going back to the original point of why I brought Pavelski up, yes, it was so inspirational to see him tonight and get that reaction. And the clip, I know, is going viral on the internet. But to be able to not risk injury, to not risk anything else by playing unnecessary hockey games. Yeah, I mean, the scene would be awesome if it had to go back to SAP Center for Game 7. And that's how the Sharks won it, in front of their home crowd and 2 Game 7s in a row. Yeah, but again, I don't think that's what you want to do. You want to take, at some point, you need to take a little bit of the easier road here and a less of a toll on your team physically and emotionally. What else here? Yeah, great game for Tomas Hertl. Nice to see him be the hero in this one. We talked about McKinnon holding him off the scoreboard. I actually thought, crazy as this sounds, Philip Grubauer was the losing goalie tonight. He only allowed 2. He only allowed both of them to Hertl. One was on the power play. I feel like Grubauer had a more impressive effort tonight in kind of staving off the Sharks than he did really in Game 4. That's crazy. He got the win in Game 4. He got the shutout in Game 4. But the Sharks pressured him, tested him so much more in tonight's game. Oh, it's past midnight. Last night's game, whatever, on a Saturday. Way more in Game 5 than they did in Game 4. So it was so good for San Jose to finally break the ice in this one because you felt like the longer it went and the longer the Sharks had gone, right? It was about to be 5 periods straight with no goals for San Jose. Think about that. If Hertl didn't score at the end of the second, right, they got shut out all 3 periods last game. The prior goal was in the 3rd period of Game 3 when Couture finished off the Hattie with the empty netter. And so it was about to be 5 periods. And you thought, man, this is one of those games. The play is right. The scoreboard is not. And in some weird way, Grubauer is gaining a ton of confidence because of the results he's getting. So again, it doesn't make sense. But I think that Grubauer had a better game here in San Jose in 5 than he did in Colorado with 4. Just the kind of stops he was making and the way the Sharks were testing him was incredible. Couple quick more points here, just in terms of gameplay. Forget the scoreboard for a second. If you had a graph of, all right, which team is kind of owning the pace right now and which team isn't, it just really felt like the Sharks had it for most of the night. I would say the only part where, the Avs looked like the better team were a handful of minutes in the middle to late portions of the second period, and a big part of that is because the Sharks kept going to the box. Brendan Dillon high-sticked McKinnon. Kane got called for a cross-check, and Jost came in there and got the goal at 17:01, so with 3 minutes left in the period. And again, that's why the response by San Jose to jump on the power play with that Barrie interference call and capitalize on it was just so timely. But again, those were the handful of minutes I thought the Avs were at their absolute best, and I think that's why Game 4 was so frustrating, because the Sharks defensively run it, offensively never could get in it. But tonight, both sides were extremely strong. All right, that's going to do it for this YouTube video. Trying to keep these things to the sub 20-minute mark. I appreciate you guys all tuning in. If you're watching this on Sunday or getting ready for Game 6 on Monday, hope you enjoyed it equally. And I want to let you know about some other things. Hit me up on Twitter and Instagram, especially the Gram. Been working hard there to try and crank out some of the most enjoyable content. Also, I have a podcast. You can check it out on Apple iTunes or Google Play or Spotify or TuneIn Radio. A lot of those podcasts are actually simulcasts of this very YouTube recap I'm doing of Sharks playoff games, but also other Sharks stuff. We'll be talking a lot this summer, I hope, depending on how things go, as well as some of the stuff I do for the Oakland A's on there. All right, that does it for this episode of the YouTube video and the podcast. Until next time, I'm Brody Brazil, and yes, that is my real name. And if you watch all these videos to the end, you know that's how I just ended the podcast, and now it's time to end the YouTube videos. So Again, I truly appreciate it, guys. It's getting late. I've got little gas in the tank and an off day tomorrow I need to make the most of. So thanks so much for watching. We will see you next time.